cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place.
Pluribus Unum. From George Washington to DJT's wins and a global gold mania, America is in the midst of its biggest reset as America slams into Rededication 250 the same day today. George Washington called the nation to repentance before God. I, your host Brad Wozny, am going to unleash a bombshell thread almost no one else has yet connected. From Washington's founding vision, straight to President Donald Trump's China victories, and today, from Pluribus Unum and One Nation Under God to the raging spiritual war exploding across the planet right now. The old global fiat system is violently fracturing as gold, silver, and raw geopolitical power realign before our eyes. The old world is practically dead. The new one is being born. The best is yet to come, and you do not want to miss this one, sovereigns. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Show, all of you divine lions and lionesses. I'm your host, Brad Wozny. You know we stand for love, levity, and liberty. That's our creed you see behind me with the Bling Buddha, our mascot, firing red pills of awakening from his SIG 226 9mm with the dove of peace and the lotus flower of life over his shoulder. And what's most important, because it's about save the children in our generations, including Rededicate 250, is a Punisher's tattoo over his left breast, symbolizing save the children, with that gold chain and that silver XRP token. That's the Bling Buddha for you. So I want to thank you very much for being back here once again. It's incredible because it is still ongoing in Washington right now. And we have great video is on the screen over at Rededicate 250. I'll go there in a moment, from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. What's really key and important for everybody, the entire globe right now, is that the old world, propped up by the deep state over eons, is shattering in real time. You are watching it shatter, be obliterated in real time these last several years, including the last 16, almost 17 months of President Trump is 47, while a new sovereign era begins emerging before our eyes. The gold reset is about to happen. That includes silver. I'll go into full details to that toward the latter half of today's episode, because what's important for all of you to realize is the historical prominence and the significance of this moment in time. It is spiritually significant. It is a spiritual warfare, which all trickles down to the physical, mental, emotional, financial enslavement warfare upon all of us, chemical, biological, radiological, like they did with the jabs and the other stuff coming out. It goes back to what George Washington said when he called America to repentance on this day 250 years ago, on May 17, 1776. And his own words were that morality and faith are the pillars of our society. And I watched just earlier as one of the pastors was on there saying, blessed is the nation whose name, recounting scripture, blessed is the nation whose name is lived in the name of the Lord, and faith in God is our heritage and our foundation. That is what the founding fathers, who pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to that Declaration of Independence, that July 4, 1776, is incredibly symbolic of. And also in scripture, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and I will forgive their sins and heal their land. And that's what you're seeing happen right now in the United States of America, in the incorporated boundaries, which were drawn with all 50 states, in this day of repentance and this signaling of rededicating America 250. President Trump will probably wrap this up in about 2 hours' time in Washington with the final words from POTUS. And it's incredibly significant because when you look at Jubilee years, and including debt Jubilee years, they always happen in 50-year cycles, going all the way back in recorded history in scripture. But you must repent. So we're following in George Washington's footsteps right now. And why I've titled the thumbnail of the show, which all of you are seeing on the screen right now, is Pluribus Unum. So for those who don't know, in Latin, that means from many, one, or out of many, one. So this goes back to the 13 colonies. And let us all remember, lest we forget, that the 13th colony was the colony of Canada. Isn't that amazing? Serves as a traditional model of the United States, symbolizing the union of the original 13 colonies in one single nation, appearing on the Great Seal, along with Inuit, Coeptus, or which is I approve, I favor, and on the back of that Great Seal, corresponding to it on the other side, is Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of Ages, which appear, as everybody knows, on the back of that Great Seal. Its inclusion, by the way, in looking this up today, was Pierre Eugene du Cimetière, and approved in an act of Congress of the Confederation in 1782. That's what appears in the Great Seal of the United States, reflects the idea of unity among diverse states and peoples, right? And so I want to take you to President Trump on St. Patrick's Day of 2020, a then tweet, which he had put out, which is extremely powerful for those who are aware of this speech that he had mentioned. And I've got so many here. Let's just make sure I take it to the right one as we go on this show. Can I get a producer, please? We're just crushing it all by ourselves here, folks. Donald Trump, 1:31 p.m., March 17, St. Patrick's Day, 2020. The world is at war with a hidden enemy. We will win. And it is not only a silent war then, it is an overt warfare, as we are all aware, right? And when he came back in 47, he promoted this with the White House account. America is back, and it's absolutely beautiful. And rededicating right now, America 250 to one nation under God, as it was meant to be, like George Washington, the founding fathers, and all of those men, women, and children who sacrificed their lives for freedom to get the world to this point. And that world, that was America, the new world. Incredible, right? We're going to go down quite a few things here today on the show. Thanks everybody for being here. I just want to take a moment once again to acknowledge everybody on the Sovereign Soul Show. Yes, you can watch us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X, other streams. This is the Rumble channel, where there are nearly all of the shows going back 4 years to May 3rd, 2022, over 900 of them. 35 of them Rumble didn't allow. Isn't that interesting? Back in the day of mass censorship. But we were all right all along. So you can go watch this. And by the way, did the Signs of the Heavens show, and I'll be referencing that on Wednesday last week, because there were rolling blackouts where I am down in South America, and I had to use Starlink. We took a little bit to connect it. Had a great show with Scott McKay, Michael Jaco on Scott McKay's channel on the Fed Captured, shifting to the QFS, Jay Sixer, Cindy Lou Young, J6 Grandma, as well as Rabbi Jonathan Gross and David Summerall. And who else was there? Kelly Walker, powerful, posted here. And then we had the Warriors of Wellness, which you can all see up here. Extremely important to do now, because people are still shedding. I can tell you, I was just at a restaurant a few nights ago, and there were a whole bunch of people from a country where they required 4 to 5 vaccinations. And despite being, doing the route, doing the X39 life wave, and being a very healthy man, they're still all around you, and got sick. So I've got a little bit of a thing going on in the throat, and something else popped up Friday night. I'll talk about it toward the end of the program here today. So it's really imperative that all of you take care of yourself. I've had multiple times Dr. Christina Rahm and Clayton Thomas, Divine Masculine and Feminine. They are husband and wife, co-founded Root, and they've developed the Trinity Pack, all natural, American made, 85 countries with patents. And they were part of MAHA, and they've briefed JFK, and they've briefed President Trump at Mar-a-Lago during the dash as well, proving clinically that they can erase and eradicate virtually everything from those who have taken the COVID-19 jabs. So I'm going to play this for now from Allie. She's going to tell you a little bit about it, and then we'll be back and continue here. Just be about a minute. Talk to you in a moment.
If you are looking for groundbreaking nutritional products which revolutionize the way your body operates, you have to check out this cutting-edge, American-made, all-natural wellness brand. Root the Trinity Pack from GetRootNow.com is a game changer. Let me show you. Zero In is the world's first quantum-ceutical, an all-natural, adaptogenic nootropic which skyrockets your clarity and creativity. Professional athletes have reported over a 40% increase in their performance in only 90 days. Restore is a supplement that completely restores your gut health, optimizes your true brain, helping you tap into quantum consciousness, also known as the God Mind, altogether with Clean Slate, which gently wipes out harmful heavy metals from your body, gently evacuating toxins including graphene oxide. Trinity Pack from Root altogether helps you increase your performance, longevity, deep sleep, and have a far greater quality of life. Register now at GetRootNow.com to grab your Trinity Pack. Then hit subscribe and save to get $15 back every month. Trinity Pack has also received the gold standard, a worldwide BSCG approval, allowing those in the military to first responders to the NFL, PGA, NBA, FIFA World Cup Soccer, and more feel assured it is indeed all natural and drug-free. Trinity Pack even comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. So when you grab your Trinity at GetRootNow.com, you can feel good knowing it's endorsed by Tier 1 Special Operations Warriors, to lightworkers, benevolent healthcare heroes, professional athletes, and Olympians detoxing their systems and unleashing their greatest self from across the globe. You can also get rewarded for being part of the Root community. See you there!
And I'll tell you about Trinity Pack. I don't travel alone without it. You have Clean Slate, Clean Spirits, Zero In. This is what I'm down to before I reload on Tuesday. Zero In and the Restore. So I'm down to my last bottle, but the reload's coming, and I'm very grateful for it. And once again, if anybody doesn't know, I've been using it every single day since I ordered January 11, 2022. And back then, I had lost my smell and my taste because of everything being sprayed overhead. And remember, they were not only the chemtrails, but they were also poisoning the water supply. That's still kind of going on in certain respects. But you had radium, cadmium, aluminum, barium, strontium, mercury, fluoride, plus you have in the water supply, right? North America, many tests have found that you have pharmaceuticals and then human waste. So people are ingesting it. Skin, our epidermis, is our largest body, our organ. So even when we take a shower or we take a bath, we're absorbing all that stuff. And not to mention the venoms, right? As Dr. Brian Ars has been on here and he did the Watch the Water, they found all types of venoms, obviously in COVID-19 vaccines, from cobra, crate snake to scorpion to sea snail. And what those venoms will do is, cause a lot of problems in your body, especially with the heart. But you also very quickly lose your olfactory receptors and your taste receptors. So within a little over 24 hours of taking the Clean Slate drops, which is amazing in this bottle, right? It's all natural. Put a few on your tongue. There you go. Not only does it cleanse your pineal gland, the key part of it is it chelates heavy metals out of your body, mercury, cadmium, barium, aluminum, all of that. Chelates it naturally and takes it out of your tissues. In the Restore, we've had people from IBS to Crohn's and whatnot use the Restore. And that also cleans your gut health, the lining, which is great for digestion. And remember, we have more neurons in our belly than we do in our head. So that's extremely key. And then we have our heart chakra and our power chakra in our stomach. And we connect the two of those. And we tap into our intuitive with an organ that they've never told us about, that they wiped from the history books that Trump has mandated, that comes back and is taught in medical schools in the next 180 days. How amazing is that? And then Zero In, quantum consciousness, nootropic, gets you into a flow state, a greater state. So incredible what American-made creativity can do. And once again, I want to show you the Freedom 250 as we continue on here. This is the website. It's beautiful. Freedom250.org, celebrating the triumph of the American spirit. 250 years ago, America chose freedom. This year, we celebrated in every city, every town, every stretch of American road. Find what's happening near you. Be part of this historic moment. So you can type in freedom250.org from anywhere around the world. If you're visiting in les Estados Unidos, les États-Unis en français, the States, over the course of the next year from July 4, 2026 to 2027, you'll be able to type it in and find out what's going on, which is freaking awesome. So what a beautiful website that they posted for us, for everybody around the world to share. Now, on to the wins with China. It's really powerful. So there are tons that we'll be talking about with this that relates to gold and silver and the reset. If anybody just wants to jump to the very quick, yes, gold and silver are resetting. Yes, the gold and silver are going to have new revalued price floors. Here you go. Bottom line, right? But the why, the how, and where it's going to work up to, and some of the new information that has just been published in the last 72 hours is going to blow your freaking minds as well. Because, Brad, you said to everybody, don't get the jabs. You said, don't wear masks, because we know what wearing masks can actually do as a trained infantry soldier, real gas mask through NBC, not these diapers that you're putting over your face. So you don't have to trust me. You can go research it, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of the new receipts in the last 72 hours. So on to China, which is really amazing what President Trump did over there with massive amount of winning. Now, there's something called the Thucydides trap. And Susan Kokina did a great job recovering that one as well. But this goes back to ancient Greece, right? And the Thucydides trap. And why did Xi Jinping mention it in his meeting with Donald Trump when Xi Jinping, if you saw that clip, said we should be partners, not enemies, right? So here it is on The Guardian. China's leader raised the ancient Greek historian Thucydides when he met U.S. President Trump in Beijing. Well, it goes on. What is the Thucydides trap? Well, it's basically two empires fighting each other, so you have nonstop warfare, right? And there's war profiteering. But here it is from The Guardian. A staple of foreign policy commentary, including by Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, the Thucydides trap refers to the idea that when a rising power threatens to displace an established one, the result is often war. And here it is. Thucydides wrote in his book, it was the rise of Athens and the fear that this instilled in Sparta that made war inevitable. And talks about the history of the Peloponnesian War. Now, it's important to realize the true history. A lot have been hidden from us. That's going to continue to come up. And I agree with you, Kim in Wisconsin, in the chat. Thank you very much. Well, God bless us all, sorry. But thank you for saying bless me as well. Appreciate that. And a whole bunch of other things. UK, I've got you coming up. We're going to be chatting about that very short. I don't know if Donald Trump is Jesus Christ, but he's certainly the chosen one from Assyrius the Great right now. He's certainly a time traveler, isn't it? It's pretty powerful. All the things in the comms we've been putting out there related to it. So talking about the wins. So that is the Thucydides trap. Now I'm going to come back to that. I want to talk to you about the wins at home in America. Going to expand that view to a global standpoint and then bring it back, because this is all related to gold, silver, the reset. And why is gold and silver and financial reset powerful? Because it's God's money. It's sound money. It is exactly what the creator, our prime creator, gifted to us as the species created on this planet. And then maybe there might have been some experimentation, right? But that's not this show. We've already done a few shows on that. And what's important for us to be empowered by right now is the return to it in the sound money, and take precautions to be part of this great awakening, to stand up in this spiritual awakening. So here we are, a win that was published just this week. Tina Peters' sentence has been commuted by the governor of Colorado to be released on June the 1st. There she is, which is awesome. I don't know why they didn't say, that's it, we'll let you out right now, because the U.S. Marshals could have gone in there and the U.S. Marshals could have freed her, because she is not only a political prisoner, she is actually a federal witness to the stolen elections, election integrity, and all those investigations. So therefore, they could have done that. But obviously, there's a reason we'll find out after the fact. But keep the prayers up for Tina Peters, Mark Brennan, his sons, and so many others as well, who are fighting the beast system that is massively dying very quickly. The head of the snake's been cut off. The tail's been cut off. It's still withering, right? If you've ever seen a salamander, right? Like they try to escape from you, their tail's still withering so that people can be distracted and go over there while it goes off and regrows a new one. No longer. That will not happen. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nobody gets away. Nobody gets away scot-free. That goes all the way down to any of your Uber drivers who had forced vaccinated people. We have actually seen videos, not of Uber drivers over the years, but we have seen videos of administrators and sheriffs showing up, at least one of a sheriff showing up with administrators of the city town that would not let a person out of their driveway unless they were vaccinated and would force vaccinate them in their driveway. All this stuff, which are war crimes, crimes against humanity, crimes against children, sedition, treason, stolen elections, you name it. No matter where these people are at whatever level of society they're involved in, whatever country that they're in or sovereign nation, which are completely different, they are not going to get away. And it's likely going to mean full life in prison, on planet, off planet, whatever have you, or depending on how heinous those crimes are, it's just execution. It is military tribunals and grand juries. Military tribunals are going on. Grand juries are convened. Other grand juries are being convened right now, even up in Canada. So good stuff to all those truth guardians and those folks. You know who you are, right? Some names withheld on purpose. Speaking of the winning, this week, just yesterday, Tommy Robinson, look at this. I'll bring that down. So here it is in the UK. For miles and miles, they flooded Trafalgar Square. City of London has fallen. London has fallen. And like Tommy says here, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And I'll take it over here to what Elon Musk was saying, that the thousands of British people imprisoned merely for social media posts of speaking their mind need to be released. No more prison islands. So there are over, 12,000 that were arrested, ticketed, or imprisoned. And here's Tommy Robinson yesterday walking along saying, we want our country back. Millions are in attendance. And that's a massive win for the world. So let me just play this for you so you can hear it in his own voice, because this man certainly deserves it. Oh. All right, so there you have it, right? Wants to get to Trafalgar Square, and they did, and they crushed it, which is really, really powerful. Now, bringing it right back to America, for example, here it is reposted as a brand new post on the White House account just yesterday. No games. President Trump, if you hurt Americans or are planning to hurt Americans, we will find you and we will kill you. Now, those are remarks that he has echoed multiple times during the campaign, during the dash to come 47, and also said it during 47. Now, you need to extend this and think about the power of what that means. That means if you are in America and you are hurting Americans, which could even be children in the school, mutilating their bodies, masking those children, maybe that could probably extend to it, because just so everybody is aware, Nuremberg Code included masking, and masking is an international war crime, right? You're cutting off the oxygen, especially as Lee Dundas has said here on this show, one of the very first shows 4 years ago that were done on the program, and the multiple times that incredible freedom fighter Joan of Arc of our time have been on here and said elsewhere that if you do this, according to OSHA, you cut off 30% of the oxygen supply to a human brain, especially if it's a child, and after 5 years old, they do not redevelop that part of their brain whatsoever. So then that's it. That's a crime against children, and that is punishable by life imprisonment or execution. That's it, full stop, right? And I've shared many times, and eventually you'll see the math that I've come up with, that there's over 100 million that will pay for this. They will be imprisoned through investigations, and that imprisonment might be life imprisonment, or obviously the full execution of military law, depending on how heinous their crimes were, as convened by a true jury and a trial, and likely all done because of the oversight of the UCMJ and common law, divine law, and natural law. God's law is reigning across the land right now on Rededicate 250. The Jubilee, May 17th, starts right now. And if anybody wants to see a really powerful video with regards to that, I think this creator put it together so beautifully. I'll play this for you. It won't be more than 42, 43 seconds. Reset this and bring it up. This talks about Rededicate this Sunday on TikTok. Here we go.
Calling me home through the fire and snow. Voices of a no in the cold wind blow.
Shadows in the night, but the stars still glow. If I fall tonight, let the whole world know.
Calling me home where the old gods stand. Through the storm and the blood red sand. The sky falls down and the rivers run slow. Hear my name in the winter snow.
Steel in the hand when the long ships sail. Cold in the lungs when the night winds wail. Came from the frost where the...
Pretty awesome. What I'm going to do is just fast forward it to this. And it says a Jubilee moment for America. You can pause to read. It's worth is what it says in the caption. And it continues and says, the timing carries significant spiritual weight. In the book of Leviticus, every 50th year was declared a Jubilee. It was a year of release, restoration, and reset. Debts were canceled. Captives were freed. Land, doesn't that sound like Tina Peters? Land was returned. Venezuela, Cuban people, Iranians, the protection of Christians in Nigeria, and the operation that just went down between Thursday and Friday that President Trump put out there, taking out ISIS leaders and a bunch of HVTs in Nigeria and protecting Christians. It then continues on and reads, the nation paused and recognized that everything ultimately belonged to God. That rhythm was designed to break cycles of bondage and restore what had been lost. So here you have the Creator's blessing across the land of America on this incredible timing. Again, 250 years, 5 Jubilees, right? Pretty powerful. And I love this breakdown on the number May 17, 2026. That's a 5, 1, 7, 2, 2 plus 6 equals 23, 2 and 3 equals 5. You know, Tom numbers would absolutely love this. Perhaps they got it from good old Tom. So is this the kickoff? Are things going to start rolling out much faster? And a historic Jubilee to save America's future? 100% without a doubt, as confirmed by the White House, as confirmed by President Trump, as confirmed by the Treasury, as the fact that Federal Reserve was put under the Treasury in 2019, as by the fact that just on Tuesday this week, as President Trump was about to take off for China, hey, Kevin Warsh, Central Casting, was confirmed as the 17th chairman of the Federal Reserve. Kevin Warsh, Central Casting. What does he want? He wants a new regime change at the Federal Reserve. And he, like Judy Shelton has been putting out, needs to return and wants to return America and even the world back to gold-backed, asset-backed currencies, precious metals, gold primarily being it, as the storage of values, indicator of wealth for sovereign nations, not countries, because countries are corporations under the crown, which goes to the City of London, which goes to Vatican Bank, which are no more, right? Because we have the quantum financial system here. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. A lot of powerful, powerful things up on deck. And right before I get there, I just want to play this because we've got to have the levity. We are about love, levity, and liberty, as you know. Here we are from Il Donaldo Trumpo doing a great little video summarizing the visit with President Xi, Central Casting, and President Trump, the real man. Here it is. Enjoy this one for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about the visit in China and how it once again relates to the Jubilee. Enjoy.
President Trump is a real asshole. I keep trying to take Taiwan, but he keeps saying no. He be like, you can't take no Taiwan, Xi. And I like, why not, nigga? You took Venezuela and Iran and all that shit. And he be like, you take Taiwan, and I'm a tariff your fat Chinese ass he. And that hurt feelings. Because he also got big fat ass from eating McDonald's all day. But he only calling President Xi fat ass. He also keep calling me Kung Fu Panda. That shit ain't right, asshole. Anyway, enjoy Kung Pao chicken totally made of chicken, I promise.
How good is that, right? Just fantastic. Just fantastic. And I mentioned central casting. So we know President Trump will keep telling the people who are part of this Q drop operation, central casting, central casting, central casting. So he said it about Besant multiple times, Kevin Warsh, and again about President Xi. So here's a clip MJ Truth Ultra put up. If anybody hasn't seen this, just so you can feel good about this, central casting once again. Here it is, 30 seconds.
If you went to Hollywood and you looked for a leader of China to play a role in a movie,
central casting.
He's central casting. You couldn't find a guy like him. Even his physical features, he's tall, very tall, and especially for this country because they tend to be a little bit shorter. You look at the military. I mean, the military today was incredible. That military marching was incredible.
Okay, the military marching was incredible. Well, why was that incredible? Let me just show you once again right here, a great clip that Hodler threw up. Good old Hodler on X. Remember the capitulation tour 2017. Trump walks in front of the Queen of England, that Draco reptilian who is now taken off scene, long time bye-bye. And then he walked in front of King Charles central casting, as he even called out Charles's central casting at the White House 2 weeks ago, cut right in front of him and greeted his own cabinet while Charles and Camilla, central casting, are sitting there going like, oh my gosh, what did President Trump do? And then Trump walked down the line in front of them, greeting his own cabinet members as these comms to show the world exactly who's in control, what's happening right now. Here it is in China this week of Trump walking in front of Xi. I won't play the whole 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but enjoy this. So you see, there he is. He's walking 2 paces ahead of Xi the entire time, all the way down to the turn, and then he slows down as Xi catches up. So you see that entire review, Trump is in front of him. Powerful. Now, you don't do that unless you are above that host, and you 100% are being shown it right now, right? Powerful clips even back in the day of Hu Jintao when Xi took him out, the former chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, and that assembly and Chinese media scrubbed that from the internet. All these things, like Trump said, we have it all. It's really powerful. So here we are at this moment in time. We're continuing to watch the takedown of everything in the world that is the deep state. And what else does that mean? That also means the cartels, right? Major General Valley, who once again co-drafted America First with Brigadier General Jones, United States Air Force retired, and is part of the 200 flag officers himself, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, USAF retired at Stand Up America Federation, Admiral Lyons, wow, now deceased, incredible hero at Stand Up America US Foundation, like incredible. The men that part of that syndicate that wanted to take the country back, the constitutional republic back from Obama, and decided that there was a shift, that they would bring Trump in. And here we are, part of the Q plan for the world. And that operation is widely out there for everybody to see and enjoy right now. So Major General Valley wrote Operation Sinaloa for Trump, his team, and Hegseth. Now that they're in, they're unleashing it. And here, just the other day, shared, while we had the Nigerian takedown of ISIS going on, The United States Special Forces and CIA operatives are currently deployed in Mexico, tracking down narco terrorists, killing cartel leaders, and working to arrest narco politicians from Mexico. He even just had multiple more narco politicians in the Mexican government arrested, arraigned in the United States, thrown in jail. It's incredible. Yeah, somebody puts in there, Trump has all the cards. Absolutely, 100%, right? And we shared that in the lead up here with the promotion for the show. So this is where we're going. And right after these messages from our partners, Goldco. So remember, here it is. Donald Trump Jr., Lara Trump, and the Sovereign Soul Show are partnered with Goldco because you can do an instant purchase on gold and silver directly from them. When you have many retailers and can not access precious metals now, not all of them, but many are saying they're sold out. Goldco, Donald Trump Jr., Lara Trump, the Sovereign Soul Show are partnered with them. And I'm telling you, everybody, I would allocate a portion if you can right now, whatever it is. I'm not a financial advisor, investment advisor, whatnot. I'm just showing you the comms that the new American currency is here. Take a look at our show from just on Wednesday. I showed you the new American currency federal victory note that President Trump put out. I've shown you the Treasury press release in March from Scott Bessent about the new American currency. Those words, word for word, in the press release from the Treasury Department that's unleashed July 4th with President Trump's signature. So pay attention to these messages. If you're in the USA, if you're outside the USA, you can also do a direct purchase with these guys. Gold Code. Nothing can stop what's coming. Here they are, the number one precious metals asset company in the United States, voted number one by money, 2024, 2025, and 8.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.
So here we are. Somebody said Trump holds all the cards. There you go. Time Magazine's got the ace card up his sleeve. Pretty powerful. This goes back to the day, right? We had a little bit of fun with that. Now, let me return you to, again, Rededicate 250, George Washington. I told you I'd bring these lines up. You have George Washington, Pluribus Unum. We have Rededicate 250. We have the Jubilee. We have America's 250th anniversary, and how all this relates from George Washington to President Trump. That is powerful, right? So a quick reminder, historically, it was the colony of Canada and the 2nd Canadian Regiment that was part of the Continental Army, which served with George Washington fighting the British. Remember that. The colony of Canada, primarily made up of French Canadians and A whole bunch of English-speaking settlers that wanted nothing to do with the tyranny of the king, just like the colonies in America, because there was no fake line drawn across the parallel. It was the continent of America. They fought against the British. They won. Let's also remember in November 15th of 1777 are the Articles of Confederation for America. And in the Articles of Confederation for America on November 15, 1777, Article 11, Master Number 11, exceeds the colony of Canada into these confederated states. That's under George Washington's tenure. Also remember, Norman Traversey is the descendant of two Traverseys, two brothers, who fought not only with George Washington, were his personal messengers during the Revolutionary War. And one brother was killed in action as a messenger for Washington. That Traversey was buried with honors. And Captain Joseph Traversey, the surviving brother under the 2nd Canadian Regiment, was there on the hallowed grounds of West Point, New York, where George Washington disbanded the Continental Army, and for which in West Point, New York, is powerful today for everybody who knows the United States Military Academy is in West Point, New York, which is where incredible patriots from MacArthur to Patton to Bradley, including Major General Polly Valley, class of 1961, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, class of 1959, Bishop James O'Connor, class of 1976, and so many other national treasures and American heroes graduated. So we're showing you the return to one America, one nation under God, started with America First movement, which Trump is bringing in. Greenland, Alaska, everything in between. And once again, you have that border wall and that militarized zone between the southern border of the United States and Mexico. It is a classified, it's even, the words are designated military area. And they put out FAFO. If you try to come in through that area, it's an immediate arrest and an immediate 10 years in prison if you're doing it illegally or smuggling, of course. 10 years in prison, immediate arrest. That's it. That's a massive FAFO for the deep state. Why? Because they're continuing to take them down in a big way, right? So we look at China once again to wrap this part up and go into the gold and the silver, and where I anticipate it's going to be in just a matter of months, if this is your first time watching this show. So in China, you have central casting. What's another win in China? China has agreed to buy oil from the United States. And Trump even put out there, he said, well, no longer can President Xi get it from Iran. No longer can they get it from Venezuela. And remember, also right before Trump left for the trip to China, he posted Venezuela as the 51st state. Just amazing, right, on True Social. So is everybody connecting the dots here? Can you see the signs that the white hats have left? These very simple breadcrumbs coming up to, well, you have the Shield of Americas, you have the Golden Dome over from North America, which goes from Greenland to Alaska, all the way down to Central America. And then we have what President Trump said, hey, we're planning a trade delegation, which showed up with 17 members of the largest companies in America across multi-industries, right? Boeing, Elon Musk for X, and Starlink, and whatever, all that stuff that he's representing. And then Timothy Cook, or Tammy Cook, I believe Tim Cook at Apple was not born a man, but that's just my own belief. And a whole bunch of others, right? The CEO of NVIDIA, 17 members of the trade delegation flew over there with President Trump and came back. So he walked in front of Z, I showed you that. And he also visited the Temple of Heaven. So the Temple of Heaven is more holier and sacred grounds than the Holy City in China. And President Trump got to go there. Why? Because he's the commander-in-chief. And in his own words, remember, a year ago in Rome, when he landed for the Pope Francis funeral, I'll put that again in quotations here, he said to a press member, he said, well, at the first term, I was trying to run the country, and now I run the world. and he's rededicating America today, as it should be, which is so powerful. Well, this leads us then into the great awakening that has happened to all of you. And I've got two more funny memes to go over before the rest of the show continues on the gold and the silver of now, what is happening now, and what could likely be happening just in the next matter of 6 weeks on those. Here's funny meme number one. I cleaned the screen with antivirus wipes. I lost CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and CBS. Just awesome, right? You know, you want to get rid of virus, you get rid of them. What's also key is we're seeing the indictments coming down for those who propagated the Russiagate hoax and election matters and COVID-19 vaccines and the pandemic. And those news networks are implicated. And we have also seen with DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, not only Russiagate, the stolen elections, we've had the testimony in Congress just in the last 2 weeks. Powerful, powerful stuff. And then here's the other funny meme number two, vaccinating my family against the upcoming hantavirus. He's grabbing the old TV set and launching it, sending it on Send It Sunday. It's pretty awesome. Hey, I also want to give a shout out to all of you Divine Lions and Lioness who held the line for 6 years, where your families and your friends, they either doxed you, like we saw at the Freedom Convoy. Got great news on that. By the way, this is another one. Mickey Willis is doing our Canadian Freedom Convoy documentary. James Bowder reached out to me on Friday night. He posted this too on Facebook. So well done, James. Right? The guy who founded the Freedom Convoy, James Bowder, Trucker for Freedom, follow him on X. The man who was baptized in a horse trough in Alberta. And the moment he got baptized in the horse trough, he came out and he had this download from God that literally said, fill Ottawa with trucks. Well, Mickey Willis and James and producer Tyler had a long chat with James on Friday. James called me. We had an hour-long phone call on Friday night about what's to come. That is awesome. So here's the man with the movement that helped change the world. And as President Trump has said, you know, with the Freedom Convoy, you know, we will not let kind of paraphrasing his words. James keeps saying it over and over. So it's great. I've kind of a little catching up here to do on the memory side of that with the after effects of the people around that I was around the other night at a restaurant who are just all unfortunately very sick from the 4 to 5 jabs they've all had. And it's shedding. But what President Trump has said is, you know, we will not leave the Canadian truckers alone. So this is really powerful because it goes there. Lee Dundas had a quick chat with Mickey Willis as well. Her and I were connected on Saturday. It's awesome because remember, Lee Dundas helped put the orchestration together because she proved it over in Thailand. So we got Joan of Arc. It's just amazing and massive what's coming. And again, Lee Dundas is the 5 times great-granddaughter of Patrick Henry, who said, give me liberty or give me death is what it's all about. Just incredible, right? So all of you, like Kim in Wisconsin said, I will never comply and we win. All of you Divine Lions Alliance who for 6 years have held the line. For 6 years, you and me were all called anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers. We were told that we belong in prison. We were told, whether it was Toronto Star front page of the newspaper, that if we need any medical help, we should just die. We had all of our friends who have I've not heard anybody who has ever thanked any family member or any friend for trying to warn them off of not getting the experimental medical injection, now 100% rendered a chemical, biological, technological, and radiological weapon. Of course, that hurts us on YouTube because they don't like us saying that still because some of the woke code on there, but that is the truth, and we speak the truth, and that is the fact. So congratulations to all of you for holding the line because, as the U.S. debt clock just put it out a few days ago, RICO, there is now a total cartel asset forfeiture liability, which Treasury has gotten back amounting to $23.374 trillion. Now, who's part of that cartel? Well, you have the Federal Reserve banking cartel. You have the actual, Mexican type cartels, right? You have the transnational criminal syndicate cartels, Canada Crown Corporation, Australia Crown Corporation, all those Crown corporations, who have levied crimes against humanity, even USA Inc. So remember, when you're sitting here looking at something like, wait a second, America has $31 trillion in debt. But whose debt is it, right? They made it. They took paper, they printed it on colored paper, and they said, this is the value of it, the Federal Reserve, and then that you owe us, and we're going to issue bonds against it and come back to us. It's called sovereignty. Somebody should just go back out, and thanks to 2005, Creature from Jekyll Island, that was my massive awakening on the financial side of how things are truly put together and run. And here we are 21 years later after I read Creature from Jekyll Island. And back then, even my now ex-wife had said, this is not true, right? Because it has been ingrained in us, death and taxes. Well, really? And also that the Federal Reserve is somebody we should bow down to. Unfortunately, they're run by families, or they were, because it's now under Treasury. So a new era of prosperity, as the US debt clock has shown us. Now, this is a picture from a number of months ago. And if you're brand new, stare at this picture, because I want you to read it, because it levies up to the next item I'm going to share that just dropped not 48 hours ago from the government, which shows you the signs of Nassara here. Once again, it says a new era of prosperity. New, the 50 state credit union banks, 0 to 3% interest in all loans, debt forgiveness, replaces and eliminates all property taxes, and so on and so forth. It's a 100% reserve, and it is asset backed, right? A U.S. federal victory note. Didn't say it on there exactly, but I'm just summarizing because of what's come in. Well, here is what happened. Here is what happened on May 15th, on Friday. This beautiful announcement from what? The National Credit Union Administration. And you can find this on ncua.gov. I'm showing you the press release that it announces a proposed rule for permitted payment stablecoin issuer standards. Here's what it reads. It's only 3 paragraphs. Stakeholders are encouraged to review notice of proposed rulemaking and submit comments. Alexandria, Virginia, May 15, 2026. Today, the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, announced a notice of proposed rulemaking outlining the operational and risk management standards for an NCUA licensed permitted payment stablecoin issuer, as outlined in the Genius Act. And in quotations, it says, this proposed rule supports my view that credit unions will face no disadvantage compared to other entities regarding standards, said NCUA Chairman Kyle Hoptman. It continues. Stakeholders will see that we work diligently to align the standards for NCUA licensed PPSIs with the standards that are proposed for bank subsidiaries. The proposed rule is currently available for review. There's a hyperlink in the Federal Register where stakeholders will be able to submit comments. Comment period for the proposed rule will close on July 17, 2026. And why is that so historic? Because we're looking at the violent fracturing of paper, which is all made up with ones and zeros and rarely backed by anything because it's fractional investing. You might have 1 ounce of silver that you sell the paper note on that 351 times to your investors in an index or an ETF, right? We have gold, precious metals, copper, everything, precious metals that you're aware of, palladium, platinum, exploding right now. Just take a look at the 4-year trajectory and go back to 2021, 2022 to right now, 2026 on gold, silver, palladium, platinum, copper, you name it. They are up hundreds to thousands of %, right? And what you are all seeing is a financial transition away from everything paper. It's a financial system transition, which, yes, with ISO 20022 at the BIS, which went effective to all global banking transactions in November 2025, you have the Clarity Act that includes Nassara language. Now, I just read for you the NCUA, so you can go ahead and look up the Clarity Act and tell me if that is not national economic security and reformation language, reformation. So there's more signs confirming not only quantum financial system, yeah, it's up and it's on rails right now, but a financial system transition to sound money. And what you just saw with the national credit unions so that they can compete with the big banks, which are not credit unions, right, is that proposed rule announces a legitimate, important macro signal showing U.S. regulators continuing to move toward a formalized framework around stablecoins, digital settlement rails like XRP Ledger, programmable money infrastructure. So you have your property, you can put it on a title and back it up with paper, and regulated digital payments for some. And so you've got this counter position of bond market stress, Bondgate, gold and silver breaking out, central banks that are going crazy, stampeding to continue to buy it up like insane amounts. And while nothing can stop what is coming, here are the other two pieces I want all of you to clue in on. The first is this, just published, that Jim Rogers, another legendary investor, sells all US stocks to buy silver and gold. Here it is on MoneyWise article, May 14th, Thursday. And he issued a dire warning that the end will probably come soon. And here's what he likes for protection. So this is the guy who founded the Quantum Fund, or co-founded rather, and says that the end is coming soon, and moved into gold. Gold. And the anticipation alone is $10,000 an ounce gold. Now, to that point, I want you to see this one as well and read along with me, everybody, because here is another billionaire. I have shown you multiple times, David Bateman, that in 2025, in March, he went all in on silver and gold, and he bought up a percentage of the silver market, which is incredible. And here is another billionaire, Eric Sprout, on Yahoo Finance, put 98% of his $3 billion fortune in gold and silver. And he says gold is headed to $10,000 an ounce, this on Thursday as well. So look at this. You have legendary investors dumping themselves into gold and silver, and billionaires moving into it, along with the central banks, along with, unfortunately, deep state global elites that we haven't seen really taken off scene yet, or maybe they have been replaced. They're going to gold and silver. What do they know? Dollar collapsing. I played for you the clip from Frank Schiff. The dollar is collapsing, and it's going to be, as Jamie Dimon was just recently quoted, apparently, an order of a magnitude of 80 times greater than 2008. So he said gold has had one of the greatest 2-year runs in history, and the man who saw it coming says it's just getting started. So here we are at half the amount. He expects it to go to 10 grand. And it says Eric Sprott, 81, was at his vacation rental in San Jose, Costa Rica in late January when Forbes checked in with him. January. Wow. It's Sunday, May 17th. This was right around the same time that silver had its all-time high of 100 an ounce, actually went to 120, and Sprott wasn't impressed. He said, I'm not a geologist. I know nothing about rocks, but I know the numbers. If the reward's a big reward, I cannot afford to lose. I think silver can easily go to 200, even 300. I think gold can go to 10,000. And so here we are once again. And Ray Dalio was speaking about it, that he was putting part of his portfolio, 15% of it, most successful investor back then, Tony Robbins, right? Oh, Ray's a good friend, did the big book on wealth. Recommends as much as 15% portfolio allocation into physical gold. You've got to be in physical gold and silver. All of you lions and lionesses must. So Sprott began investing in gold and silver in the 80s. He's built a net worth Forbes now estimates over $3 billion, with 98% of it in gold and silver. His bets in the sector has grown fourfold in 2 years. So the billionaires betting in gold are going to continue. And I did other billionaires, other people I showed on the Wednesday show. And once again, if you want to watch that Wednesday show, you just go back to the Rumble channel. You can see it right here. It's called Signs in the Heavens. And I'll show you. It's also here on YouTube. You can find it on the Facebook channels as well, too. And I covered even more of that because it's really key for everybody to be protected, to take it right now on your onus, to get physical precious metals wherever you can. Absolutely powerful before this thing explodes. Now, I'm not sitting here with fear. I'm just showing you once again the signs. And there it is, Signs in the Heavens, disclosure week ahead. That was on Wednesday. You can watch that show, listen to it as well. On other billionaires and other figureheads, who are warning about the collapse in a massive, massive way. So I even mentioned the Jamie Dimon, Buffett, and when Henry Hank Paulson said he's 1.5 billion net worth, former federal chairman, right? You know, warnings, 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 warnings. And once again, with Goldco, our partner, and you get involved with them, you can bring on that free phone call if you're in the United States. You can do direct purchases with them as well. Or if you have an IRA or 401k, 50 grand or more, you may qualify for an instant match, give you a percentage of your allocation back in free physical silver and gold. But the cool thing that I find is they'll do a phone call with you, your investment advisor, your spouse, and set up a strategy for allocation before the market collapses, the bond market, right? And Jamie Dimon, just so you know, said last week that it could be 5 days or 5 months or 5 years. I don't know. Well, you just saw two massive warnings and signals right here, plus a new American currency in 6 weeks' time. And that's where we are, everybody. So I really hope that all of you are blessed and get in touch with Goldco. Again, you can do a direct allocation if you're out of country, you know, direct purchases with them, and make sure it's physical wherever you are in the world, physical, and you can either hold it and store it yourself or in a legitimate depository that you feel is so inclined is safe and secure for the investment in your future. My personal recommendation would be silver, because you still have that historic ratio that has to be reset. And this is the final points I'd like to make on the show for everybody and really clue in on here. Really pay attention to this right now, because I've been mentioning it over and over and over again for almost 2 years. The first is this: as we started with George Washington, we're going to end with that great man and President Trump upholding that legacy. Number one, in 1792, at the Philadelphia Mint, the Coinage Act had been signed into law. And whom signed that into law? George Washington. And under the Coinage Act of 1792, it was the printing of federal currency for America with gold and silver. And under the Coinage Act of 1792, you had a bimetallic ratio of 15 ounces of silver would equate to 1 ounce of gold all the time. So there's the storage of value that was set by the American government. The new America, one a nation under God, by Washington signing it into law. Incredible. Now, what we saw again in January with President J.D. Vance giving that press conference and stating that America and the 50 nations assembled around us all agree that we must reprice silver, which President Trump, by executive order, made a critical reserve mineral in November 2025. J.D. Vance said that we must revalue and reprice silver and other precious metals. So there will be a repricing of silver and gold. There will be a minimum price floor set, and he used the words a price floor. That's the Vice President of the United States in January of this year to the world. There will be a price floor, a new price floor on silver and gold. Well, that has not yet happened. So guess what's required for it to happen? American mining companies require at minimum for it to be profitable to them and invest in mining operations to assist President Trump's executive order of November 2025 that silver is a strategic critical reserve mineral because it's used industrially as well, not just jewelry. That's its primary use, industrial, AI supercomputer chips, LCD screens, batteries, you name it. Those American companies require it to be at least $268 an ounce. So ask yourself today, sovereigns, what is silver trading at? Take a look at all of the black and white that's been shown you, just even in the last 5 months of this year, related to the precious metals markets. And take a look at what everybody's warning you about, whether it's bonds, fiat currency, paper versus physical. And then obviously the signs have been there the whole time. I keep showing on every show with God's money. Who is buying up and gobbling and stampeding to get their hands on God's money while they're offloading the fiat deep state cabal reserve paper. The signs aren't even in the sky. They're right in front of us, everybody. So I hope with you that you feel good enough that Lara Trump, the Sovereign Soul Show, and Donald Trump Jr., we're partnered with Goldco. And as this great little trinity of trifecta and partners, just want to mention to you that we thank you for watching. We'll play this once again because I think the time is very close to where we're going to see, as even Bank of America has thought, silver will go to $309 an ounce by December. My personal belief is it will be much, much more. And gold will likely be $20,000 an ounce by December. We'll see. We'll find out. That's my opinion. But you can see the demand for it right now. Here it is, Goldco. I'll be right back to close this up.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 five-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.
E Pluribus Unum. Like I mentioned in the beginning, from many is one. And on Friday night, I received some very unfortunate news that for 29 years, a very close friend of mine hung himself. He committed suicide, and he left behind a teenage daughter, and struggled with that yesterday, to come over it still a little bit right now, because suicide is something that we really are blown away by when it happens to us in our lifetimes. My father, when I was 12 years old, as I've said on shows, different, previous, depending on the only topically dependent, that my father came to me when we lost everything, the lumber mill, the houses were being evicted in Ontario during Bush 1's legacy. And he said, Brad, I'm going to kill myself because there's $1 million insurance policy on me, and you and your sister and your mother can live because we have no money. He said that to me on a Saturday night at a lake in Ontario. Now, in Japanese, they call it harakiri. And that's where they take their lives as a symbol of honor to help their families move forward. Now, my dad attempted that an hour later. And what he had done when he told me, he said, I promise me you'll take care of your mother and sister and be the man in your family. 12 years old, August. So we have right now, and I bring this up to you, I don't require sympathy, and thank you anybody for any prayers. I don't require that. I bring this up to you now because you never know what people are going through. And we're here in the final throes of the deep state's deaths, from a financial standpoint, which drove my father to make an attempt on his life, was because of enslavement. Believing a system, BS, that we now are aware of, that generationally, we're enforcing tax enslavement, we're enforcing you to go do things that you didn't enjoy. You may not enjoy going to school and doing certain subjects. You're told and conditioned to get out, get a good job, go marry somebody, have a family, retire at 60, right? And your life's over by 80 and you're in the ground and leave a legacy. That was the old system the cabal designed with their adages, with their medical industrial complex, with their agricultural food industrial complexes, agro machines, with their vaccinations and their machinations as well, and their politicization of spirituality and turning those into religions eons ago. That is virtually at hand to be done. You have the truth and you have the disclosure, whether it's cosmic in that disclosure, all the way to the truth of the debt enslavement, of the having to grind, work hard, play hard. That's all coming to an end. It's at hand. So if you know anybody in your life who is struggling, and everybody has their own struggles and challenges, what I would just say and leave you with the final message tonight, everybody, you lions and lionesses, is bond together as a community, your family, even friends that you might not have spoken to. Check in on them. Make sure for yourself first, you always protect you first, because the glass, if it's half full, then you cannot really giveth to anybody else, as that old adage goes. So you protect yourself first, and then the next most important individual to you, and then you go out in concentric rings of protection. And while you've got that protection from a physical, a mental, a spiritual, an emotional protection that you take around you, which includes the diet and your eyes, the diet that goes through your ears, what you listen to, the words that you speak, abracadabra, and the feeling that you live from a heart center, not from the programming that they put into us. And you're clearing out your pineal gland and you're clearing out your gut so you can tap into the intuition and that gut instinct, where we know the power center of our brain is. And there's an organ that they've hidden from the medical books over the last century in our gut, which helps you with that. As a result of that, we, the people across the world, are in for an incredible time ahead, and a return to a type 1 spacefaring civilization where we get to enjoy peace, love, and prosperity, and choosing a path, each one of us, that's driven from our heart center, not from what somebody else tells us. You can take the inputs, but you decide for yourself. God bless you all. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our Bling Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.